All right. Let's go ahead and get things started. Give me a second. I don't know why that didn't trigger, but it's all good. Let me make sure that my volume's all good. I believe that it should be. Yeah, we're all good. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started today, guys. Let's go ahead and get cracking with this weekly analysis. What's going on, my boy? Glad to have you on here. Let's get it.
Recording in progress.
All right. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for checking out another one of my weekly Forex and crypto analysis. I do appreciate it. And if you guys, for those checking in on YouTube, if you guys are not already, please do leave a like and subscribe to this. Or if you would like to, catch on the video, see what I'm saying, and if you gain some value, go ahead and drop a like then and there. But with that out the way, let's go ahead and get things started. So first and foremost, we're gonna go ahead and do the weekly analysis like how I regularly do. I check out what's the high impact news that's gonna be going on throughout the week. And so first we have here, first of all, before I continue, let me turn this volume down. And I realized I don't even have anything going on over here. So, like I was saying, Monday, 10 a.m., we have FOMC with member Buller speaking. And then, this is actually something that I'm going to take a look at. Due to discuss monetary policy in an interview conducted by CNBC. That doesn't happen quite that often. Last time that it has happened was back in 2019. So that's something that we want to pay attention to. Like, it's going to happen February 17th. Hasn't happened in a while. So that's something I was like, I haven't seen this before. So we're going to be seeing what that is going to be going on tomorrow at 10 a.m. Want to watch out for the news. 6:30 p.m. Australian dollar monetary policy meeting minutes. Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. USD, we have PPI. And Wednesday, we have GBP news at 1 a.m. with CPI. 7:30 a.m. Canadian dollar, we have CPI. Then the core retail sales and retail sales with the US dollar as well at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. At 1 p.m., we have FOMC meetings, meeting minutes. And then we have 6:30 p.m. unemployment rate. So you definitely got that FOMC lurking this week, so you definitely want to be watching for that with the US dollar and with the way how the markets is looking. It's going to be very interesting to see how the DXY is going to be panning out. So let's go ahead and take a look at things real quick. Sorry, give me a second. Go ahead and hide that. All right, so let's take a look at the DXY, and let me make this full screen. Okay, so DXY last week, let's actually go on to the weekly time frame. Last week we had seen that there was some rejections down at these lows of where the previous week, not last week but the week before, that bearish engulfing candle down at that level where it had rejected off of, that's the same level where last week's candle rejected off of. And it's not necessarily bearish, it's not engulfing, or it's not giving any type of story, if you will, on the DXY to say that, okay, this is probably, I'm still saying that I want to see the bearish move go on with the dollar, right? I want to see from seeing this bearish candle like that, I want to see the dollar go bearish, but I need to see some type of retracement go on first, which is going on. I had marked up that, hey, I want to see the DXY go bullish and come back up to 96.783 before I would decide that I want to take a sell opportunity with that. And I would want to do that up at these highs, knowing that, hey, like I said, from the looks of it, there was these equal highs here that price had taken out, made a pretty decent evening star candle formation, saying that, hey, I'm going to make a fall, which it did. And if I can get a retracement on that, then that would be solid for me to look for any sell opportunities. And I got that via Fibonacci, just so that I can show my reasoning behind it, right? So 71% Fibonacci level right there at that 96.783. I'm still watching for the DXY to do that. Currently, it's above the 50 EMA on the daily time frame, but I mean, realistically speaking, price still has been somewhat consolidating within this zone. You know, there's just been this moment right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like not even 5 whole days, and then this moment right here, which is not even 2 whole days, where price has exited out of this consolidation zone that it's been in. So that's something that we still have to be very careful, mindful of, and careful of with the dollar. And I usually do say, you know, if price does decide to come up here to 96.783 and it decides to actually continue going bullish, then the next levels I'm going to be watching for is around that 99 to 100 level on the DXY, right? That's just something that I've been, you know, paying attention to. And I thought that, you know, at first I thought that price making this move was its attempt to make that push to the upside, but you know, we might be seeing something different. There, like I said, there is FOMC this week that you definitely want to be paying attention to. So we'll see what goes on with that. Looking closer onto the lower time frames, we can see that price has made this bullish move. There was a gap somewhere in the market, I think, over here. Yeah, there was a gap in this market, but then price had came back, closed that gap, and then went bullish. You know, I want to see what's going to happen, because on the 4-hour time frame, I could really say that, hey, this previous structure that's right here, price hasn't broken through it, so it can still potentially continue going bearish right here. You know, if I draw a fib from this lower high to this lower low down here, then we can see that price is still hanging out in that area where it could potentially go bearish. But personally speaking, I don't necessarily, I don't think that it's gonna hold here. It may just go a little bit bearish before painting. I know you see this, boy. But I definitely am not interested in trying to sell the DXY at these levels. I feel like it could still go bullish, especially with that FOMC coming up in a couple of days, like on Wednesday. So I wouldn't necessarily try to play that. If I go into the 1-hour time frame, let's see what it looks like. Price fell. There's this gap. You know, if anything, I kind of want to see if price is gonna squiggle on down a little bit, come down into like 95.416, and then continue going bullish. Like, that's what I'm kind of expecting to see. Like, because from, you know, just looking at this bearish move, this was the previous, well, I mean, technically this would be the previous lower high, I guess. And then price came and made these equal lows, broke above these highs. I mean, hey, if anything, if price is gonna go bullish, then it's I would rather either see it happen here, or I'd be looking down over here at 95.441 for that bullish move to the upside on the DXY. But that's on the lower time frames. Like, that's more of, it could happen within the next couple hours, or not next couple hours, but like a day or two. But we'll see what happens. That's where I'd be paying attention to, and I'd be like saying, hey, let's see if the DXY is going to pop up over here, or if it's going to continue going bearish. But like I said, for now, you know, there is this move. And let me remove this higher time frame fib, so the charts get less confusing. You know, there is this move right here that price can definitely, I mean, it is currently inside this zone where price can reject off of it, then go bearish, right? So that's something that I'm paying attention to, but I'm not necessarily trying to sell the market here yet. I would rather, you know, try to get down here for the DXY to go bullish, and then you know, like for instance, Euro USD to go bearish, AD USD to go bearish, GU to go bearish, etc., etc. That's something that I'd be watching for, but I'm not going to necessarily, you know, I'll wait for one of these two alerts to go off before I make a decision, basically. Like, and for the shorter time being, I would rather, yes, 95.4440 to get hit, but overall 96.783 is where I'm looking at for me to make a bearish, make a sell bias on the DXY in its current state. So we'll see what goes on with that. Just going over to arbitrage on the weekly time frame. We do have, price is still up at these highs, rejected off of the second deviation a couple weeks ago, still around there. So nothing's really changed on that time frame. On the daily time frame, price it's still called for the buys, but it's consolidating on these bands. I don't necessarily like playing off of those. 4-hour time frame, if I'm not mistaken, I think I gave this out to those in arbitrage. Not too sure, but price is moving pretty decently. It gave us quite a few scares for those in RB who did that analysis for, but definitely want to still see the DXY continue going bullish for the meantime, right? Like if it's gonna do this retracement, which off of this band, just the way how it looks, this is what I would prefer. But at the same time, if it does it, then I'd be kind of sketched out about it. But I'd rather it do something like that, quite honestly, where it's made that bullish move. I want to see a retracement, and then for it to continue going bullish. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but again, if I do see it, then I'd have to pay attention to what the lower time frame price action is looking like or something like that, because I'd be kind of sketched out by, price had moved down, then it moved up, coming back down again. It seems like it's just playing around, so, we'll see what goes on. But other than that, 1 hour time frame, I would just leave it alone at this point in time. We'll see what it looks like probably tomorrow. But other than that, the DXY, like I said, overall, I want to see either one of these two alerts get hit. Long-term wise, 96.783. If it does get hit, I would then be looking for long-term bears to the downside for a long-term possibility. And if price gets to the 95.404, I'll be looking for a possible bullish move up to 96.783. We'll see what goes on. Alright, Euro USD. Let's see what Euro USD is talking about. So basically, well, let me delete all this. Hold on. That trade hit break even for me, but able to capitalize off of something at least. Alright. So, weekly time frame. Bullish engulfing candle 2 weeks ago, and then last week we just had a rejection candle off of this resistance up here. Right? And I was saying last week something similar that I'm going to be saying today. Be like, hey, at this point, since price is more than likely going to reject off of here, which it did, broke above equal highs, it's more than likely going to push the downside for a little bit. I want to see price come back down over here to 1.2100. Let me just go ahead and draw out the fib from this low to these highs. Let me make sure that I'm not, right here. I want to see price reject off of this Fibonacci zone before I decide to think if I'm going to make any type of buying decisions on Euro USD. So right now I want to see for the next couple of days, probably even next week or two, possibly, the Euro USD to continue pushing to the downside. Nothing's really changed from my analysis last week. And then once price gets to, that 1.12296 area, I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll look to be making a long-term buy decision. And of course, as of right now, we're looking at it from a lower 4-hour point of view. We can just be saying that, hey, right now price might just be rejecting off of this zone that's right here that price has used in the past. It could just be bouncing off of it, although right now it'd be look like a break and retest, but it could be bouncing off this zone to go bullish, which it can do that, but again, at this point, especially on the 1 hour time frame, it looks more like a break and retest than what I was just talking about. But for sure, again, I have my alert set at 1.12296. That's what I'm going to be watching for. Let me see what this point of control is looking like. Price still has a way to go down. Absolutely, there's like not that much volume right there. Let me see what the 4 hour looks like real quick. And it's basically at the same level. So yeah, I do definitely expect 1.1300 to get hit very short. I mean, not very shortly, but in due time before. And then again, 1.12296 is where I'm going to be for sure aiming for any type of buy opportunities. Let me see what this volume looks like over here. Big volume on this candle, then price ended up falling. A little bit bigger volume off of this candle than the rest of them. 1 hour time frame. Yeah, we could definitely see a potential retracement to the upside. I mean, even possibly back up to 1.14388 before a push to the downside, but we'll see what goes on with that. I'm not gonna get too deep into Euro USD quite yet. Not seeing, like I said, from this high to this low, because price never made a full retracement from where it stopped over here and then like made a small retracement to the upside. It never did that, but you know, over here at 1.14480 would be where I'd be watching for some potential sell opportunities on EU if it got up there. But I'm gonna keep the alert there just in case. But as I mentioned, at this point, I would rather kind of see if price is going to continue falling, rather buy it down here and see what that play would look like. Because if price comes up here, I just feel like it might just continue going bullish, and then that would be an L that I'm looking for. So we'll see what goes on. This had hit break even before going to stop out, so that is not even a concern of mine. Had taken partial profits off of that. Weekly time frame. Okay. So on a weekly time frame, Euro USD, it's still showing that it's extremely bearish on the weekly time frame. You know, the RSI line is starting to come into that, you know, lower danger zone, and the RSI line never exit out of that zone ever, so that's a possibility of a potential reversal going on. Don't know about that yet. Daily time frame, we do see that price is calling for a buy, and it is above the RSI line, so that's something that I'm watching for. But again, price is consolidating on this time frame, so it's not the most reliable at this point in time. The 4 hour time frame, it is calling for a sell. And as much as, yes, I do see that sell right there, same thing with the DXY. I would want to see a retracement happen before price continues pushing to the downside, where I would then be looking for buy opportunities around this area. And I'm pretty sure the 1 hour looks something similar to how the DXY looks. It looks pretty terrible. So I'm just going to be going off of the 4 hour on arbitrage. But again, 1.12280 is an area where I am going to be, you know, looking for any type of long-term buy opportunities with the Euro USD. So that's EU. Gonna mark that blue, not market, market. I'm just playing. All right, AUD USD. This interesting pair over here. You know, I had said that I'm gonna be watching for. Well, first of all, I'm gonna go into the weekly time frame and see what the candlestick is looking like from last week. Okay, a very long wick to the upside. I'm not really crazy overseeing that, and from where it bounced off of, this looks like AUD USD might continue to push to the downside, quite honestly. We'll see though. Daily time frame, and I'm going to tell you guys the reason why I feel that way. Daily time frame, 50 EMA, price rejected off of it with these three bearish candles closed, long wick to the upside. This is telling me that this could be a possible stop hunt from this high at 0.73163, where it's the higher time frame, most recent lower high, to this lower low at 0.69671. Price left a very large wick on all three levels of that Fibonacci zone. On the daily time frame, that is, right? On the 4-hour time frame, and this is something that I'm surprised that I was not paying attention to last week. I don't know why I wasn't, but overall, I was saying that, hey, I'm in my head right now, I'm like, hey, after the price rejected off of here, the only thing I really can do, see what price is going to come do down at 0.70495 or 0.70260. You know, I'm going to have to wait and see what the market is going to do down at that area before I make any decisions. But from what I'm seeing and observing off of AUD USD, this is going to go and make a lower low. You know, just previous lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This could be the next lower high right here, and then price could just make another lower low. And I wouldn't be surprised if said lower low would be at 0.67513, right? I really wouldn't be surprised at all. Price has just been super bearish since back over here in March of 2021. And again, I just wouldn't be surprised about it. Overall, I did want to see, especially since I see this double bottom right here, I did want to see it hold, and for price on AUD USD to potentially go up to, you know, 0. At least, or to say this is where I'd be looking for my short opportunities at 0.73969, basically 0.7400, right? But from, you know, price came very close, but it never made that move to the upside like how I wanted it to. And price making a double bottom right here and going bullish, I'm like, hey, maybe that can still happen, but as of right now, it's not looking like the best opportunity. So we're gonna see what goes on with AUD USD. Like I said, at this point, I kind of just want to see what price will do over here at this level, at that 0. Like in between the zone. See what price is gonna do. Not necessarily gonna just hop right in there as soon as price gets there. I'd want to see some stalling, some further confirmations that may tell me, okay, yes, buying will be a good idea, right? But this will be the area where I'll be looking at that. So, but again, it looks very bearish. I wouldn't take it. Let me go see what arbitrage is talking about. On a weekly time frame, still very much bearish, of course. So that's one thing that you want to take note of. Daily time frame still holding below that RSI line and rejected off of it with that large candle. Not the greatest sign for me to try to sell anything. Let me go ahead and remove this. Oops. Okay. Going to the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour, it looks like it called for a buy over here. I would not have personally got into that. And again, it's because market is consolidating. You know, the bands don't necessarily look the best at those times. But the lower time frame, the 1-hour time frame and below, definitely is showing that price might be making its way to the downside. So again, like I said, I want to see what 0.70500 will look like before I make any decisions on AUD USD. But it's not something that I'm like keeping a keen eye on. Okay, so let me go ahead and get rid of all this. You chef hurt my feelings. You chef hurt my feelings, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. But first of all, let's go into the weekly time frame before I explain why you chef hurt my feelings. So first and foremost, last week, big wick to the upside. I like seeing that for the bearish move. The previous week, price rejected off of that trend line, but I only like to use that trend line for visual purposes. Going on to the daily time frame, like seeing those double wicks to the upside. Now, the reason why I say that you chef hurt my feelings, because I had my alert here at 0.92970 last week. And where did price decide to go and stop at? prices started to go and stop at 0.92968. So literally zero point 0.2 pips, not even a whole pip, like a fifth of a pip before it would have hit my alert, and then I would have been looking for sell opportunities. Wasn't paying attention to it. By the time I came to my computer, price was already way too far away for me to even try to sell it. And I'm like, wow, that's a big rip. So that's just unfortunate. But you know, I was saying on the 4-hour time frame, I was looking for this move from this high of 0.93430 to the low of 0.91768. That the retracement to the upside, oh wow, if I would have drawn it, if I would have put this correctly, then it would have hit my Fibonacci level. That's good to know. That is good to know. Yeah, this is just due to my negligence, or however you call it. I don't know why I cannot pronounce that word, but yeah, if I would have mapped that out correctly, basically, then the alert would have gone off. I could have possibly got us into a trade. It is what it is, right? But overall, get rid of all this. See what the market's looking like. I definitely don't believe that that's how the U-Chef opened. Let me go and take a look at different U-Chefs. Yeah, as you can see, that's not how on that market provider U-Chef opened, nor that one. So don't mind this. That's just the broker and how they opened the market up. But anyways, U-Chef right now, it's still rejecting off of this one. Not necessarily rejecting, because this wick. Let me go and do another analysis on a different chart, because that might just confuse somebody. So U-Chef. Let me just go on over here to the 4-hour time frame and map out what I had from that high to that low. 71% price bounced off of that. I feel like price is now going to be coming up to 0.92162, which will then be a zone from this low to this high where I'll be like, hey, is price going to reject off of there? Now, based off of my personal preference and my personal opinion, I want the DXY to fall, so I would want price to not reject off of here, but to just keep going bearish at this point, right? But we'll definitely see what goes on. The possibility of price just doing something like this does exist, and so if price does make its way down to 0.92125 or 0.9200 at all, then I'd be looking and seeing what's the price action looking like for me to make that attempt to keep going bullish. If that's what both the U-Chef and if the market is going to be making that move, right? Overall, I was saying, I want to go back just to my main point. I was saying overall that U-Chef does have equal highs right here and equal lows, that it has been consolidating in between since August of last year. So it'd be very interesting to see what U-Chef does. But overall, at this point, over down at these lows to possibly even break below these lower lows. That's how I feel about U-Chef. So we'll see what goes on with that. I don't really have anything much to say other than that. Again, don't pay attention to this long candle. Let me just go over to a different U-Chef. Okay, weekly time frame. Price is holding at that upper danger zone. That's just something that I refer to as like a resistance, if you will. Or here, I'll just do that right there. Or a zone, if you will. Daily time frame, price is holding at that upper danger zone as well, rejecting off of it, so price could potentially go bearish. 4-hour time frame, price is in between the RSI line, the mean line, that's that orange line, the compass line, the blue line, and the momentum line. So right now, U-Chef is at a sticky spot. It could either go bearish right here, which I kind of feel like it will, or it's gonna go bullish. It's like it's at a zone where it could break out of either side. But I'm more bearish than bullish. And the 1-hour time frame, the last thing the 1 hour called was a sell. and there's just been wicks, a lot of wicks to both sides. So I'm not really feeling you, Chef, but I definitely would prefer the bears over the bulls at this point in time. So that's for USD CHF. Let's take a look at these tacos. All right, USD Mexican peso. Weekly time frame. Price has been dropping a little bit. Nothing too crazy in my opinion. Alright, so USD Mexican pesos, there's a couple of things that I have that are intriguing me, right? Price can definitely go bullish from here. That's how I'm seeing it. Although, yes, from this high to this low, the retracement, price rejected off of that 71%, dropped very nicely. But from this low to this high, same thing could literally happen over here, where price can just go bullish at this zone. Like, it's above the 61.8% Fibonacci level at this time, so it is at a level where it can technically go bullish. The volume picked up a couple hours before the market closed last week, so that's another thing that I'm paying attention to on USD Mexican peso. Let me go ahead. Wait, what am I doing? Going over to the weekly one more time and see what that last week's candle looked like. Price is currently rejecting off of the 50 EMA, so that's another thing that I'm watching for. You know what I'm saying? That's something definitely interesting. 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour is what's making me not want to trade to sell USD Mexican peso at the same time. Like, as much as, yeah, it could reject right that zone where it's currently at, where it's rejecting off of the current price action, and with what the DXY is looking like, yeah, the DXY could potentially go bullish for sure, but at this point, I'd rather just leave USD Mexican peso alone. I feel like it's going to continue going bearish eventually, just not right now, and I don't want to play in between this choppiness at this point in time. You know, I'd rather go and look at a different pair than invest my time on USD Mexican peso. Now, going on to arbitrage, you know, weekly time frame, price is still rejected off of that RSI line, and price is currently just consolidating at this level right here. You know, I feel like still it's gonna go bearish, but it's not a good time to play this. The daily time frame, ooh, me seeing this makes me want to take the opportunity and the risk to try to buy it. Quite honestly, because I do like that price is above the RSI line. You know, I'm not crazy that price is below the momentum and the compass right here, so that's something that I'm looking at. But I do also like that the level pearl was a little bit above ground zero, but over here price is below ground zero. So yeah, it's not clear cut for me enough for me to try to trade it. 4-hour time frame looks more clear cut than anything, and it looks like that this wants to sell. Yeah, everything is bearish over here. So USD, like I said, USD Mexican peso looks a little bit too bearish for me to try to trade it, and I'd just rather leave it alone. So there is that. All right, let's talk about gold. Man, did I take an L on gold last week. You know, I got out early, but then I was feeling it later on. But man, this gold trade. So let's go ahead and possible break weekly trend line. And I'm going to explain what I was talking about that. Let me just go ahead and delete all this stuff right here. Dang, my phone is just going off right now. Oh, it's probably my boys talking about this Super Bowl. Anyways, so gold, I've been watching this trend line for a couple weeks now. Let me make this a little better actually. There we go. Gold been rejecting off of this weekly trend line a couple weeks. I was liking the rejections. I like the rejection that it made up here at 1873. Price dropped. I like the retracement it brought up. Price was rejecting at that zone. That fell as well. I was like, hey, if it comes back up, let's try it again. And for the fall, but it never happened. And Now I could take off that trend line, but I could still say that, hey, this is still a zone, this is still a level where price can reject off of, right? Just because I got a break of a trend line does not mean that I'm going to change my whole bias on a pair. However, this weekly time frame is what's going to make me change my bias, because after seeing this bearish engulfing candle, then a small candle right after it, and then a large bullish engulfing candle, it's making me think that this is going to continue going bullish, right? Prices above the 50 EMA as well. Not the greatest sign, especially on a weekly time frame, that price is going to be looking for the bears, you know? Not the greatest sign at all. Going on over to the daily time frame, if I'm looking back at from this high to these lows, where I had drawn my fib out at one point in time in the past, where price did nicely reject off of that 78.6 and then drop down to that 23.6. Realistically speaking, hold at this zone right here. I should have expected and said that, hey, at this point, if price comes back up here, gold doesn't owe me anything to try to sell, because it's already made the move that I was looking for from these highs to this low. And it, like, I always do expect, hey, that 23.6 Fibonacci level, that's where I'd be looking if a pair were to look to turn around after making the move that I wanted to. That would be it. And price clearly did that. You know, I didn't have this zone marked off here for no reason. It was a reason why I had it marked off, you know. From this low to this high, the Fibonacci level is the Fibonacci zone. Bounced off of that 71% when bullish. I wouldn't be surprised if 1914 gets hit. Now, despite all that, that does not mean that still does not mean that on the higher time frame that gold can still like gold can literally still hold at this level and inside this large supply zone, right? Gold can still hold here. It's ugly. I don't care for it. I don't necessarily want to even trade gold right now because of where it's just currently at. But if there was a place that I'll be looking for any type of last opportunities for a long-term sell, it'd probably be here, quite honestly. But just based off of the way how price got up here, you know, how the candlesticks are looking on the daily, the weekly, 4-hour time frame, it's scary to try to sell it at this point in time. That's like me trying to like buy when price is like right here. With these levels, so prices just dropped, and it's right here. Okay, try to buy it. No, I'm gonna fall down a little bit before I decide to buy. So I'm gonna wait a little bit before I make that decision. But overall, we'll see what gold talking about, because it can still definitely hold at this zone. You know, it hasn't made its way down to 1734 ever. Wait, hold on, let me see something. Price dropped, came to the 61.8 at one point in time, then came back. Never mind. It's super ugly. It's super not my type of play that I would want to play, and I'm gonna put this on silent so that it can stop. Yeah. But gold, personally, hey, right now this thing looks like it could keep going to the upside, but you don't want to necessarily chase that either, because it's already made a big move and it's still in a zone that it could potentially reject off of. Big volume off of this candle. Like, this was the highest volume, then second, like, as price was increasing, volume was increasing as well on the 4-hour. You know, that's a sign that price could potentially keep going to the upside, but I'm not going to touch it. Like I said, I'm going to leave it alone, see what it does. Maybe on the lower time frame, it can give me an opportunity that I can be like, hey, if we want to, let's try to get into a buy. But as of right now, no sir. All right, take a look at gold. Gold call for that buy right there. Okay, 4-hour time frame had been called for a buy on gold. Went bullish, but I wasn't feeling it once it got over here. I was like, ooh, this thing might sell still, possibly. Oops, what am I doing? I did not mean to go to a different pair. Daily time frame called for the buy on the 8th. I did not see that. I I definitely was not paying attention to that. Could have avoided the sell possibly. And weekly time frame holding right at that upper danger zone. Another reason why I wouldn't try to play this pair right now. But we'll see what goes on with gold. Definitely still at an interesting zone that I would, just be careful at. Don't necessarily try to play that right now if you're looking for the sells. All right, S&P, S&P, what it do? Got this zone rejected off of that I had talked about, but I was saying that, hey, what I'm looking at overall is after price that rejected off of this zone, and let me go explain about that zone before I continue. I said that, hey, from the highs that price made when they made these all-time highs over here to the lows of when price made that very fearful drop and came back inside this zone, I was saying that, hey, 4,645 was an area of interest for me, but a huge possibility could also be that price was just rejecting off from this previous lower high to this lower low and rejecting off of this zone over here. It did do that, but I wasn't necessarily looking for the sells over here, especially since price didn't come all the way up to 4,596. I wasn't prepared to try to call for a sell at that point in time, but hey, price did reject off of that zone, and that's cool. What I am currently looking at for on the S&P, along with this is going to be very similar to what I'm going to be looking for US 30, is that from these lows to these highs, it's going to look, well, it's not going to look better, but it's going to look more visible on the 4-hour time frame. Is that I want to see what price is going to come and do down at this zone, like in between 4,300 to 4,367. Now, it could definitely hold. It could definitely be like this play right here. Like, yeah, there is double bottom right here, so that was a good double top. So that might have been a good sign for a drop. But what I'm looking at one of two different Fibonacci levels right now. So I'm either looking at the one you see here from the low of 4,222 to the high of 4,593, or this one right here from the low of 4,274 to the high of 4,593. That's what I'm basically looking at for any type of bull opportunities for the S&P, and I mean, it doesn't look that bad, after price had made this bullish move up here, consolidated a little bit, a double top and then dropped. Like, I have my eyes on there, but that's about it. I don't want to dive too deep into a speculation of what could possibly happen if price does break in between this zone between 4,200 and 4,333. Don't want to dive too deep into that, just gonna sit back, let this marinate, and then if we see some type of thing like that next week, then I can talk about what the opportunities or the outcomes will be for this. But as I usually say, these indices are built to buy. You have a better chance buying them and selling rather than selling them. So we'll see what goes on at that price of 4,366. Gonna be definitely watching it for myself. Dow Jones, same thing. Let me go ahead and get rid of that over there real quick. Dow Jones, I was saying basically the same thing. I was like, hey, first of all, let's take a look at the weekly. Not a good candlestick to be trying to look for buy opportunities, but there are multiple times in the past. I'm not going to get into that today, but there are multiple times in the past where price has definitely shown that, it looks like it wants to continue going bearish, but then it turns around and goes bullish, right? Especially, you can see that right there. Or if on the daily time frame, it's much more visible, I feel like, at least. But anyways, like I said, let me not try to go too deep into that. I was saying that very similar to with the S&P, from these highs to these lows. I said, hey, price can come up to the and make a retracement. Price actually did come up to the 71% Fibonacci level on US 30 and then decided to fall right after. You know, still has the opportunity to come down over here to the 23.6 Fibonacci level, which if I turn this Fibonacci around, then we'll see that we're inside that zone in between 33,758 and 34,210. If I go onto the 4-hour time frame, it's much more easier to see that I have two different biases on this right now, right? Well, not two different biases. It's the same bullish bias when price gets down here. But I'm saying either A, price is going to come and into this zone down here, or B, let me explain this better. Either A, price is going to come down and and reject off of the fibs from the low of 33,181 to the high of 35,874, or it's going to reject at this zone that's in between 33,733 to the high of 35,874. So those are the two things that I'm looking at for both USHEF and SPX 500. You know, SPX, it's kind of not a lot more easier, but it doesn't have as many possible targets as US 30 in my opinion. But we'll see what goes on. I have the alert set for both of those, and I'm pretty sure that arbitrage looks fairly similar for both of them. The weekly does not look great at all. Something you definitely want to be careful with. And you know, like I said, on the weekly time frame, the candlesticks themselves, they're looking very bearish. It's looking kind of spooky. Dow Jones, if this weekly candle closes, it's more than likely gonna close with a bear like this, and it's looking kind of spooky. So we'll see what goes on. You know, overall correction might be overdue. I mean, I feel like there's a correction that's way overdue, but we'll see what goes on with that. Daily time frame, still bearish on that. 4-hour time frame, still bearish on this. Oh wow, this actually is playing out. That's funny. 1-hour time frame, that's playing out. So yeah, definitely is looking very bearish on the Dow Jones and the the S&P and them. It's looking pretty bearish over there for me. All right, let's look at Mr. Bitcoin. I actually want to keep this high. All right, so bitty Bitcoin. Ooh, that's not a weekly candle that I was expecting to see. I was hoping that candle would have closed much better and not underneath the 50 EMA and in that fashion at that. It doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. It could just mean that, hey, price is going to be on its way down to 35,000, like how I was, I'm saying that I wanted to hit before looking for buy opportunities. That can definitely be what that is. I'm just not a great fan of seeing that wick after a push to the downside like that, especially rejecting off of the 50 EMA, especially what I'm looking at on arbitrage on the weekly, and especially because of just, even on the daily time frame. These are not things that I want to see in order for me to have a good strong buy bias on Bitcoin right now. It's not the greatest look in my opinion. Let me see. I'm gonna draw a trend line just for visual purposes. Not that. I do like this break of the trend line right here. Not holding that. I'm not gonna deny that fact. I do love this hardcore. But again, I would at this point I kind of just have to see the retracement. Oops, let me change the color of that. I would just have to see the retracement back down over here before I think about making that buy decision on Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? And again, me seeing how the weekly closed, me seeing the way how the daily candlesticks are not looking that great in my opinion, but it can still be a retracement because I'm not gonna act like what I've seen over here for the past couple of days didn't happen. I'm not gonna, forget about that. The volume over here speaks to me more than the volume that's right here. But still, I'm not that crazy over it. From that high to this low, price did reject off of that 61.8 like that. I don't like seeing that either. That's a key fib zone, whether I like to believe it or not. Whether I don't care for the 61.8 like that or not, I still have to understand that there are times where price will go and respect that and make its merry way around to where I need price to go to. So we're going to see what goes on with Bitcoin. I'm still going to have my alerts set for both 46,800 and 35K for sure. I'm going to just still have that bias. I want price to come down here before I look for any type of buy opportunities. Let me scoot this up a little bit. I'm going to put it to 36,000. Very happy that price on Bitcoin got up to 45K. Very that's cool and all, but this is still long term. It's still a long term play. I feel like we're still in early adaptation to this, and I don't want to just say that, oh yeah, the bulls are in play 100%, because they're not. Like, we're even seeing that right here. We didn't have price close above. We didn't even have one whole day where price closed above 45K. So that's something that we have to pay attention to as well. Like, we didn't have one full day where price closed above 45K. I mean, it closed at 44,865, but it didn't close at 45K. That's something that's interesting to me, And this is the same zone that we've been playing around with since back over here, back in September in 2021, back in October in 2021, back over here where price had dropped. This is the same zone that we're playing with. So this is a key zone. We can't ignore that. We'll see what happens with Bitcoin, right? 4-hour time frame. Seeing a whole bunch of consolidation right here in between 43,000 and 42,000 basically. And it's just a whole bunch of consolidation. Don't want to play in between that necessarily. 1-hour time frame. Same thing. Don't want to necessarily play anywhere between that. We'll be watching to see what Bitcoin does at 45K. If it gets there, when it gets there, and if it's going to hold there or if it's going to take off would be the next question. If it gets, like I said, right, if it gets there. But if not, 36K, this is still something that's been on my site. And I'm still, well, not 30, yeah, 36K basically. On my site, and we'll see what happens when price gets there. Or vice versa, if price ever gets up to 46,800. But from the way how price never closed above 45K last week, not the greatest sign in my book, but that doesn't also necessarily have to mean a lot. You don't have to like put super speculation on that. However, these bands, man, looking scary tough. Bitcoin just called for that sell on the weekly. That's the official call right there. Arbitrage Z is right at ground zero, not the greatest sign. Level Pro, it's been up above the ground zero since February 2021, but I feel like that's been a little lagging on the weekly. Looking on the daily time frame, we do have this buy. I do like seeing this buy on Bitcoin for sure, and I have been saying that, hey, I have to see what price is going to do at 40K. before I make the decision on if I would buy it right here. So I still stand by that. 4-hour time frame, price to call for the sell, but I mean at this point I would have to, if I'm looking for sales, 44k, or if not 44k, I'd need price to reject off of the RSI line before going bearish some or something like that. But I'm not necessarily crazy over how the weekly's calling for a sell, daily's calling for a buy, 4 hours calling for a sell, and I'm pretty sure the 1 hour's calling for a sell. Yeah, so that daily time frame is what is suspect because it's the only one that is not calling for it's the only one that's not the same as everything else. And it rejecting off of the mean line like this, yeah, it could definitely potentially fall still. You know, we still don't have full confirmation. Level Pro is just barely above ground zero, so I want to give Bitcoin the respect that it deserves, but I'm still going to be patient on it. Any type of margin call right now will be a little too risky in my opinion at this point in time. Just going over to Ethereum. I don't like the fact that it closed inside this box that I had drawn last week, because this was the fib that I had drawn out for it. I don't care for the fact that price did close inside of that. Even on the weekly time frame, it'd be like, whatever. But overall price did still close down here. And I'm not really that crazy about it. Or I mean, was it this that I drew it on, or was it this? It definitely was the previous one, but still, I'm not crazy over how bearish these cryptos are looking. Like this just looks the same to me as Bitcoin, and that it could potentially keep pushing to the downside. I do like this bullish move, and that's what I'm paying attention to more than the bears at this point. You know, I want to see what price is going to do at this 2,493 area, or anywhere between 2,400 and 2,500 basically area. That's where I'm going to be paying attention. I'm like, okay, is this going to go for a bullish run, or, you know, like how I discussed last week, like, are we going to be in a bearish market? You know, I've already discussed what my thoughts were about if we are in a bearish market and places where I'd be looking for long-term dollar cost averaging prices. You know, I'll reiterate that more, I feel like, next week on my weekly analysis. Not on this one, but, you know, long-term, this is still at a zone. It's still respecting a zone that it can go bullish off of. And if it does decide to go bullish, then the likes of 6,000, 6,800, we're going to see that we're going to see that this year. You know, for sure. But as of right now, you know, it's not even a bad idea to be dollar cost averaging at these prices for Ethereum, like, quite honestly. And like, if you're just looking like long-term hindsight, it's not necessarily a bad idea if price comes to 2,400 or 2,500 to long-term buy it. It's not a bad idea at all. But again, that's just hindsight. I gave my targets last week, I believe. And if I didn't, then I'll give them next week, because, again, I'm not trying to spend too much time on this analysis today. I'm barely on Ethereum and XRP. I like what XRP did, but I'm not necessarily crazy about it either. Before I go on to XRP, let me go on to arbitrage. Weekly time frame on Ethereum, I don't like seeing this. This is the first time I've seen this bear call ever since back over here in 2020. So, not necessarily a good sign to see with Ethereum. Daily time frame is calling for a buy. Right now, price, if for arbitrage sake, if there was a time I would buy Ethereum, it'd be now off of this daily time frame. Just going based off of on the daily time frame though. However, that 4 hour, it looks scary, you know. That 4 hour, pretty bearish right there. 1 hour time frame, it's really bearish, you know. I'd want to see more confirmations before I look to try to follow the influence of this daily time frame. because that weekly time frame even looks pretty scary, that it looks like it wants to sell. You know, nothing on this daily time frame except for this buy call is what's confirmed on the band. So I'm still sticking to I'm not quite there yet. As much as I'm excited that price has moved bullish and all that stuff, I'm not quite there yet. And XRP, you know, XRP is my baby and everything, but from these highs to these lows, I cannot deny what I've just seen. Price rejected off of that 78.6 twice, clean, dropped to the downside. You know, 66 cents is more than likely going to be occurring before we even see $1.10, and even possibly lower. And I was just telling Payne the other day, I'm so mad that I didn't buy any Ethereum at 55 cents, even if it would have fell or anything like that. I'm still mad that I didn't buy any at 55 cents, because these are just great prices to buy these cryptos at, regardless. Except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I personally have a rule that I would never buy Bitcoin above $40,000. That's just my take on it. And maybe towards the future, if I see price skyrocket way higher than 100,000, then I could reconsider that. But that's just my opinion on Bitcoin. So yeah, that's the cryptos in a nutshell. You know, I can go much more deeper into that, but that's more for those who are up in the next wave, where I dive super deep into crypto or anything like that, or paint. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about GPUSD, man. GU played out perfectly last week, and I wasn't ready or prepared to execute on said play, where I had said that, hey, price had gone bullish up. It made this bullish move to the upside, came and retraced back down to 1.33563. I want price to come back up to this alert where I have at 1.36400, where if I go into the lower time frames, it's much easier to see. I think I really was chickening out of GU. But yeah, from this high to this low, price retraced back up here. It hit my alert, and then price dropped very shortly after. I feel like GU might be continuing to the downside. You know, it's looking like it could possibly go bullish as well, but just based off of this zone that is rejected off of in the past, and then it rejected off of here again, and it doesn't look like it necessarily wants to go bullish, to me at least, especially looking at the weekly time frame, with price closing underneath the 50 EMA and leaving those wicks to the upside. I feel like GU is going to continue its bearish move, right? So next place that I'm really going to be looking for on GU is 1.34488, and that's going to be, you know, next couple of days. I'm not necessarily expecting that this week. It can get there, but I'm not necessarily personally expecting that, you know. Definitely this play right here would have been a nice sell play, but I'm not really seeing anything much on GU other than that bearish push to the downside. Definitely want to see what price is going to do over here at 1.34488 or 1.34500. That's where I'm going to be paying attention and saying, is price going to be looking for any buy opportunities here? If it does, then we'll see what's up. But again, I'm not going to go too deep into this. I'm already past my time. I'm going to go ahead and do a little speed up on this GU. Daily time frames calling for a sell, but prices above the upper danger zone, so I will not trust that sell. But I am bearish on GU personally. One weekly time frame, it did reject off of that weekly time frame once again, so that could be bearish on. I mean, we could possibly see some bearish moves on that. 4-hour time frame, price has been consolidating, so we're just seeing a whole bunch of different signals. Don't necessarily want to play off the 4-hour. And the 1 hour, same thing. It's just been consolidating, so there's just a whole bunch of mixed signals on it. So again, GU, I would leave it alone. I personally do think that it's going to keep falling, but I will kind of just leave it alone at this point in time. My entries have already been hit basically, but I wasn't able to capitalize off of that or get into the trade. But I do believe price is going to continue. at least to 1.34500, but maybe to the downside. So we'll see what goes on with GU as the week goes by. Alright, GPJPY, weekly time frame. This thing is funny. GJ's hilarious because he's rejecting off of this zone right here. It keeps rejecting off of this zone, acting like it wants to go bearish, but it clearly doesn't, you know. Clearly doesn't want to go bearish, but if it holds here, it can. I'm not going to go ahead and say, though, that somebody should go and buy and sell this. You know, this just makes me feel like this is going to keep going bullish, even though it rejected off of here on the 10th, right? It just makes me feel like it's going to keep going bullish, so I'm not going to... I wouldn't advise anybody to play off of this, try to go and, you know, try to sell it right now. Now, on the lower time frames, super lower time frames, if price does come up to something, like I feel like it's gonna do something like this, that if price does make that bearish move, retrace, and then continue selling, then I would be like, okay, now we're starting to see some structure, like some bearish structures being made on the 1 hour on GPJPY. So maybe we will start to see something, but it will still be way too early to tell. It can even be this play right here. I actually feel more comfortable with this, although others may disagree with that. But I feel, I mean, this kind of looks iffy, but still. I want to see what price is going to do up at that zone for a bearish move overall on GJ, but it's risky. It's super risky because GJ, unlike GPUSD, it has definitely been making higher highs on the higher time frame. You know, or even on the 1 hour, like came down over here, but then it came back all the way up to those highs. So yeah, GPUSD and GPJPY definitely feel like they can possibly go bearish, and EG, you know, just a quick little markup right here. I was saying that, hey, I want to see what 0.83400 is going to look like for EG for the potential bullish move. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. I've already talked about how price literally came down here, stalked me out. Wait, was it right here? Yeah, right here. How price came, stalked me out of my trade, took off to the upside. I feel like this is going to keep going bullish. So we'll see what goes on with EG. It's showing much better signs that it is going bullish rather than over here. But we'll still see what goes on. So with that being said, is that any other pairs that anybody wants me to take a look at? 1 hour time frame is setting up for a potential sell. And all those other pairs, they all setting up. So like I said, with that being said, is there any other pairs that anybody wants me to go over before I hop off? Daily time frame, I like seeing this, but I need price to come a little lower for me. Alright, nothing? Alright. Well, if that's the case, thanks y'all for hopping on. I appreciate it. Hope y'all have a good rest of your Sunday evening, and let's see what this market brings us, y'all. Later.